All right, welcome to another episode. Today we have Bryan Zapata. He is a mind and body coach. He helps executives and high performers take control of their mind and body so that they can take control of their life. And he's currently working on building out his school community called Positive Vibration. So, Bryan, welcome to the show.
What's up, Liz? Appreciate you having me, and can't wait to dive in and see what we can come up, man.
Yeah, man. I was looking at your school community, and there's a lot there around energy and how to start your day. So let's go all the way back to what shifted for you, because I know your background was, I think you were like getting into soccer and some other things, and then things happened. So what was that first spark for you to say, hey, let's get into this whole game around like wellness and personal development?
So yeah, if we go back, man, literally my story is I was growing up and I grew up around soccer, and soccer was everything for me. It's literally what I dreamed about. It's what I where I worked at. It's what I dreamed, and like yeah, and so as I continued my trajectory through soccer, opportunities kept on popping up, and I had this opportunity to go pro in Mexico. And when I was in Mexico, I was doing it, and I was over there alone, and ended up basically giving up on myself. And I come back all the way to Austin, and I just, kind of basically just gave up on my dreams. So in a way, my spirit had kind of just like dimmed down, and it kind of just, what you can say is kind of like I fell back asleep, and I was just like, you know what? I'm just trying to make some money right now. Let me just get into whatever is the easiest thing. And the easiest thing at the moment was getting into HVAC, air conditioning. And so I got into like the next 4 years, getting into air conditioning systems and learning the little tedious things of how an air conditioning system works. And throughout that journey, I was finding pleasure through going out and drinking and smoking, and all of the things that that happens when you have a 9 to 5 job, and
Yeah.
the weekend comes and you want to go out to party and everything. Well, little did I know that I ended up consuming magic mushrooms, and
Oh,
magic mushrooms was the one thing that literally just woke me up out of the sleep, and really opened my eyes to understand that, wait a minute, like there's something more deeper that is going on, something more that we cannot perceive, that through our five senses, that our five senses cannot perceive. And so it brought me so much curiosity, and that curiosity of the first time that I took psychedelics, it led me to study meditation, study the work of Dr. Joe Dispenza. It led me to study more about the body, and it led me to like other different spiritual leaders that were saying, look, you can do this without psilocybin mushrooms. You can actually do this on your own. Like this comes from within. Like your body already knows everything. And so I was like, okay, well, what are the modalities? What are the things that I have to do? And I started meditating every day. I started doing breath work. I started to dive into all of these different modalities that really brought me back into my center and my being. And I continued to follow that rabbit hole. And now here I am. And my whole business is basically around positive vibrations. And the whole gist of positive vibrations is I'm trying to emit a frequency for individuals who are seeking themselves or seeking self-development and self-actualization. And I'm wanting to be that beacon and hope, because I know what it feels like to chase a dream for so long, chasing my soccer dreams, and then next thing you know, just seeing how like it just doesn't work out, and like what do you do with there? And so with that failure, as I look back, I always say this quote that you cannot connect the dots looking forwards, you can only connect the dots looking backwards. So as I look back at my failures, I use my failures to empower me to understand, oh, I was bringing this reality to me, and I was 3 feet from gold, and I ended up giving up on myself. And it wasn't the circumstances, it wasn't anything, it was literally just me. And that brought me in a powerful state to where I owned up to it and I started to be a victor instead of a victim to my circumstances. And it was like that moment where it was like, okay, these are the lessons that I learned from my past. This is what I can use. This is how I was bringing this reality to me. And now I'm bringing a different reality to me in a whole different way, in a whole way that not only am I helping myself, I'm helping the individuals around me understand themselves more at a deeper level. And I'm helping humanity at large, which at the end of the day, that's my mission. That's my goal. Like I want to help out humanity. And so yeah, that's like almost everything in a nutshell and kind
Yeah.
of how I got here.
That's powerful, brother. Yeah, it's a journey. So let's say someone who's listening is in a place where they're feeling a little bit lost, right? They're feeling like you said, you had a dream and then it wasn't really going or it didn't go and then you found yourself in that space. So what would you recommend them to do as that first step beyond maybe like, magic mushrooms, but what's that first step that they can do to activate their energy, their vibration again on a higher level?
Man, it's really awesome. But what I've been figuring out lately and studying is that everything starts with the body. That's the first thing that we need to take control of when it comes to our first waking day from a morning routine. We got to start up waking up the body, moving our body so we can create energy. The more that you move your body, right, you're having to take bigger inhales, bigger exhales. You can say you're basically doing breath work or a workout or something that's going to activate the life force energy within you that is literally going to change the way that you're thinking, that is literally going to change the stories that you're telling yourself, that is literally going to change your habits, within overall your actions, within overall your destiny. And so in reality, everything starts with the body first. And that's how you create that life force energy. So if somebody is out there trying to look for, man, how can I do it? How can I get this next step? Or I don't understand. Like sometimes, man, all it just takes is a good run or is literally just a good workout. And then all of a sudden it's like you're just connected to something else and you're breathing a little bit deeper and you're like your mental fog is gone. And so it really just really starts with the physical first.
I love that, bro. So then let's say someone's in their business and they can't go out on a jog or they can't, maybe go to the gym because they're busy or they're launching something, right? Like I don't want to use the word hacks, but like what are some techniques? What are some modalities that people could tap into when they don't either want to or they can't like get all sweaty and like go for a run or whatever? Like what's something simple they can do?
The most simplest thing that you can do is you need to shock your body in some way, some form. The easiest way that you don't need a gym, you don't need to go anywhere, is you can literally take deep breaths. If you change the way that you're breathing, sometimes if we notice when we start to breathe, when we're breathing shallow, that's most of the time where negative thoughts come from. You're breathing very shallow, you're breathing from the chest, and you're not really taking that big inhale from the stomach. And so, literally, by just taking deep breaths in the morning, you're already changing the stories that you're telling yourself in your head and that are going to end up being into different actions, different circumstances, different choices. So, literally, just your breath, coming down to the breath. We breathe every day. Take a couple of moments in the morning or in noon to take conscious breaths. Inhale in very deep. Make sure you're expanding your rib cage. Exhale out, belly to the back of your spine, and holding for a couple of seconds. So that's the easiest way that you can change your state automatic. Another way that you can change your state automatic is literally just shocking yourself with cold water. We all have cold water and we all are waiting in the
Mhm.
morning before we're hopping in to make sure that water is nice and warm. Hop in the freaking shower first thing as it's cold. You're going to shock your body and you're going to see that you're just going to wake up. You're going to get that jolt. And
Mm,
sometimes we just need that. Those are the acute stressors that we can easily put into our lives that are going to get us out of our comfort zone. And out of our comfort zone is where you start to step into the unknown, where things
mhm.
start to feel a little bit more uncertain. And that's wherever the opportunities are at.
I love it, man. Yeah, so the discomfort zone or like the comfort zone is It's tricky, right? Because we're so maybe we're used to it, or we get lazy. So for the coach, the entrepreneur out there that is going through a season where of course they have big ambitions, but then they're not activating that life force energy, what would you say to them? What do they need to remember about being able to get into that state, and like snapping out of some of that like comfort?
Well, I mean, you would have to go back to how you started your business. Like what is your why? What is your reason? And we need to find a way to light up that hunger inside this entrepreneur or this individual so that they can wake up with purpose. Because half of the times we wake up, first thing that we do, check our phone, go to the restroom, all of this stuff, and we're so caught up into the day and what we're gonna do next. And it's just kind of finding those moments where we can recenter our why. What is our purpose? What is our mission? What are we doing? And we can light up that hunger inside of them. And so that way they can show up with more intention. And that could literally just be through journal. That could be through asking the right questions in the morning, setting up a certain questions of like, okay, what am I here to do? How can I serve God? How can I serve something greater than myself? And if you ask those questions alone, you're definitely going to show up so differently in your start of your day.
Yeah, man, especially with this idea of intention, right? And being intentional, being present, being purposeful. Why do you think we uh like forget about that stuff, bro? Like why do we snap out of a state of presence, you think?
Man, I'll tell you what, like I'm human too. I think I'm guilty. I'm guilty and I think that our minds are constantly being hijacked and there's a certain manual and there's a certain way that your body works already naturally. But because of the development of life and society and the world, we start to get pushed into something that's literally hacking your dopamine system or something that's hacking your gut and having a healthy gut. And so all of these things play a part, right? Your body is constantly sending you signals back to the brain. And usually your body wants to be comfortable. Your body wants to be freaking comfortable as possible. You as the conscious being, the spirit, right? And the one who like you can hear in your thoughts and stuff, that person is hungry to move, but the body is like kind of like holding it back. It's like, oh man, let's just sit down, let's relax, like it's okay. And then you're like, yeah, you know what? Let's relax, and let's scroll on TikTok, let's do all of these things. And so in reality, it's like it's really finding that space and finding that quiet time where you can really just take control back of your mind and take control back of your body. Taking control back of your body, how does that look like? Well, that literally looks like maybe giving some time to fast a little bit so that you can actually understand like, oh, these are the things that I'm reaching for whenever I'm constantly just eating and eating or doing a mental dopamine detox. Oh my God, I'm noticing that I'm grabbing my phone every second. Like, these little things, they can seem normal to someone who has continuously lived in the Western society and stuff. But if you can reconnect back to nature, reconnect back to Mother Earth, and you start to really understand that it's like, oh, wait a minute, like this whole time I was being controlled by something external, and I wasn't tapping back into my sovereign being, my heart, my body, and my spirit. So yeah, brother.
Absolutely. So then there's this concept there around control, right? And sometimes when we think about control, we feel out of control, right? Or like we're lacking control, or that we want more control. So then for an entrepreneur, what can they do to get back in control? What belief system should they be operating from in terms of this idea of like controlling in a good way?
So I would say from an entrepreneur perspective that you would have to come down back to your principles and values. And that if you don't understand your principles and values, then in reality, then what is control to you? First off, what is the definition to you for control? How does that look like in your life? What are the things that you want to start controlling? What are the things that you can control? That way you can understand, okay, this is out of my control, external. This is in my control, intrinsic control, what you control, your emotions, your habits, your choices that you're making. You can control if you're turning left, you can control if you're turning right. These are the simple things that as a human being we can control. Now, when it comes to circumstances outside of us, it depends on the individual. And one of the best ways that I can explain this is Bruce Lee, be like water, my friend, right? You become the cup as a wa as a water. And so that's the whole thing of flowing, of going with the flow, in a sense of you're still in control and you're still making conscious choices, but you're able to pivot yourself enough to you're able to adapt and see different perspectives of how this certain circumstance is able to open up either different opportunities or make you see things in different perspectives. And but yeah, man, I would say come back to principles and values of the individual and what does control mean to you.
And I know both of us have children. I have a son. I know you have a couple, but so what would you recommend for the parents? Like what type of values are important for us to embody for our children, but also maybe to teach them what are some things to keep in mind?
Man, parent like fatherhood has fatherhood is a whole spiritual journey in itself, man. And you really start to understand yourself more and the patterns that your parents have given you. And now you start to see and reflect them and mirror them back to your kid. And you start to literally see the patterns of like, oh, I was taught like this, but I don't want to teach my kid like this. And so it's a constant of learning with your kid. How present are you with your kid with your kids? And and yeah, man, it's just seeing them as a form of mirror and understanding that, man, your kids in reality they are a mirror. They're a mirror to how you show up. And every time that you talk to your son or your boy, talk to them and but still have this third person perspective of you noticing the way that you're talking to your kid and seeing where is it coming from. Is it coming from a place of love? Is it coming from a place of patterns and recognition from your past? Or is it coming from some other place of anger or frustration? Or because I start to notice that, man. And the easiest way that I can give an example for individuals is when my son is doing his homework. And vividly remember that when my parents would help me with my homework, they would help me in such a frustrating way to the point that I would feel that like I was wrong or I was doing something wrong. And when I teach my kid, I started to notice that I was doing that at first. And I was like, oh my God, like I remember as a kid that I would feel so terrible. I would feel so terrible because I didn't know the answer. But then again, like I really had nobody guiding me, somebody just telling me, come on, figure it out, figure it out. And it's kind of just like, oh man, let me step back and let me be a best friend. Like, let me be a brother. Let me be like a brother to this kid. So seeing yourself in different perspectives, not only as a parent, but as a friend, as how God would treat his sons. And it quickly just changes the way that you communicate with your kids, and you start to have patience and you start to really see these patterns that you can break out of.
Yeah, man. And so then in line with identity, right? Like being present, being more patient, being intentional. What are some other identities that you would highly recommend we embody to really feel like live into this positive vibration?
So different identities that I would say people can embody. These kind of don't work as identities, but I would say that do something mentally for your mind daily. Do something physical for your body. Do something spiritual for your spirit and connecting to something higher than yourself. Whatever you believe in, right? You could believe in the universe, you can believe in God, or you can believe that they're both the same thing. And in reality, yeah, sort of. But but the point is, if you have these little small wins throughout the day, you start to get dopamine hits, and these little small dopamine hits start to they start to rack up day by
Mm,
day. And a mental win can be like a meditation or sitting down for a couple of minutes and just taking deep breaths. And that could take up to 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And you'll be like, awesome, boom, that's a win. Next win. All right, let me change my state. Let me change my body. All right, let me work out. Let me go for a run. Let me just stretch. Moving your body is simple. It could go for a walk. You can do the most smallest thing. The point is you're exposing yourself to movement, and that's all that you need because movement is medicine. And the third thing I would say is aligning with your spirit. What does your spirit want for you? How can you journal this down and maybe take 20 minutes out of the day where you put your phone down and just write down and see what comes up? Because a lot of the times, the Stoics used to do this a lot, but they used to write in journals. And you start to kind of see how spirit and God start to like move your hand and really write and these thoughts are start to come from your subconscious mind out on paper. And it's like your subconscious mind is trying to give you a message.
yeah.
And so like the more that you start to do this and you start to play with it, and you start to create a certain time throughout your day where that you can show up with spirit. Spirit will meet you at that specific time. And then you start to continuously meet at that time to the point that it's like you already know. Y'all both already know that y'all meet each other at 5 a.m. on the mat, on the floor. Y'all meet each other at night when you are going to sleep and you say your prayer. Like it's a forward and messaging back. So like the
Yeah.
identities that I would embody as an individual who's a seeker who seeks self-development in themselves or growth in their family and in their business, I would say to develop the identity of a warrior, of a sovereign, of a lover, and of a mystic. And in those, the warrior is the one who is not going to settle for less, that is going to continue to push himself into the dream or the vision that this individual has. And the sovereign is the one who is understands and is completely aligned and is the one that is always wanting to meet with you in the morning or in at night or whenever you want to do your meditation to get into spirit. And the lover is tapping into your heart. And Tony Robbins talks about all of these identities honestly in his seminars, and that's what really helped me develop these identities and understand when can I tap into my warrior, when can I tap into my lover, when can I tap into the sovereign, when can I tap into the mystic who sees everything out in front of you. And so, yeah, those are the identities, those are the modalities that I would adopt as an individual that can propel you.
That's powerful, man. And the beginning of the days, from what I was reading, is another a very powerful aspect to personal growth, personal development. So tell us a little bit more about that. Number one, it's very easy for people to snooze, right? So then what is the effect of that? And then number two, what should they or could they be doing to maybe prevent snoozing and really like moving into the day with intention?
So the first thing that I can explain why the morning and why the night times are so crucial for somebody to win is because one, it's the start of your day. And if you start your day in a bad mood, that's just going to have a snowball effect. The Navy SEALs had um, a powerful talk to the Tech University of Texas. I think his name was Mc something Raven, McRaven or something like that. But he had a powerful book that he came out and he talks about how making your bed and how the first thing that you can do to win the day is by making your bed. And because it gives you again that small dopamine hit to then continue to like look for the next thing to make your bed or to make your juice or to reach for the water instead of the coffee. And why it's so crucial more in the morning if you want to get a little bit more neuroscience, it's your brain is operating at a different wavelength in the morning. And so your brain is coming out of REM sleep in the morning, and that is where you're able to tap into your deeper subconscious, because right now we're operating in beta state on our brain, and beta
Mhm.
is a little bit faster brain waves. But whenever you're waking up, that's like coming out of gamma. Gamma is like really fast. Alpha is like a little bit faster. You can reach alpha state in a meditation or in deep, deep focus work. Like what we're doing right now is kind of deep, deep focus. And that can be tapping into alpha. But the more that you can tap into lower states of vibration of brain waves, then you're able to program your subconscious easier. And again, your subconscious literally runs 99% of your day. Like 99%, 95% of our everyday, we're operating unconsciously. And the 5%, right now we're at 5% operating consciously, which means that our subconscious programs that we are programming ourselves in the morning and in at night is the ones that is running our life. And so if we're waking up and the first thing that we do is we're getting on our phones or we're reaching for the coffee or reaching for things that aren't really intentional, they're just habitual, then it becomes that you're in somebody else's dream and you're not dreaming your own dream. You're dreaming somebody else's dream, which means that you're not moving consciously throughout the day. You're not moving with intention. And so that's kind of the big significance of why I make sure that I align myself in the morning and then at night so I can make sure, like, I develop this awesome routine with my little boys where we I read them a book story, and now there's this app where you're able to go through a whole book, and like the book moves and stuff. And after the book, we do a meditation to go to sleep. And the meditation is for them to be programmed as they're sleeping with an abundance
Mhm.
meditation or with having a good night rest or falling deeper into REM sleep. And it's continuously programming my kids into these positive thoughts, positive
Yeah.
vibrations. And so and now my kids are like meditation time, and it's just so awesome to see, like, where we're able to change our kids' trajectory by ourselves. Because not to steer off from the question, but like our kids right now, like our kids are operating at a different brainwave. From ages 1 to 7, they're still operating at a lower brainwave. I'm not sure if it's alpha or I don't think it's gamma. I think gamma is like the first years of the kid, but they're able to take in information like a sponge. And so ages 1 through 7 is so crucial for a parent to program their kid for
Mhm.
success, for the way that they perceive the outside world. Because once they start stepping into 7 to teenagers, they start to step into beta brainwaves to where your mind is now faster and faster. And so now to program your subconscious becomes a little bit more difficult, but still very doable with the right practices.
Yes, yes, yes. And it reminds me of a combo that we had as well, where some of the other things that I think you've done is or you saw somebody hang up values around their house, right, to kind of program. So
Yeah.
on that vein, what are some other things? And it might sound kind of weird for the uninitiated, where they're like, "What? Like you're programming your kid?" But more like inspire, right? Like maybe inspire. Like what else do you do besides meditations or evening routines or hanging up your values on the walls? How else can we as parents, yeah, inspire or program our kids in that way?
We need to come from a place of reacting to a place of like, okay, before I speak, is this going to empower my kid, or am I speaking from a place of, of negativity or frustration? And so I'd say the best way that you can start to learn to take control of your son and make sure that your son has a great life, it would have to be with you just continuing to develop yourself. Because I don't think we can, I don't think by judging others or saying no or saying yes to your kid is going to be as effective if you don't put it into consideration yourself. And I think your kids start to learn more based off of what you embody and what you tell them. Because I mean, yeah, that's so I've never tried to push my kids to go to do a workout with me or to do all these things. They're constantly seeing what you are doing, your patterns, your habitual patterns. And that's the best way how you can teach your kid is just by embodying the individual. And that comes with a lot of responsibility that a lot of people aren't willing to do. And it can
Mm,
be hard. And I understand, with work and with everything going on and the external world, but it really just comes down back to aligning yourself.
So how can someone know if they're fully aligned? Well, what are some of the elements that you can say, hey, if this, and there, for example, working out or breath work or meditation, how can someone know they're like in alignment?
I think it would have to depend on the definitions of what they believe alignment is and the principles that they choose. Because in reality, like people can look at my principles and being like, that doesn't align with me. Because in reality, everybody's different. You're different, I'm different, and we all have a certain manual or a certain principles and beliefs that are going to empower us into the individual that we are made to become or we're going to become. And so I'd say it comes down to first understanding what does alignment mean to you? What are your principles? And laying down your principles and your values and seeing how you can align best with those on a day-to-day basis. And that's the easiest way that you can start to align.
I love it. Yeah, so it's being aware, and then once you have awareness, just starting to move in the direction of maybe some of the values. So then, what's maybe a parting thought, or if this was like your last message to the world, like what would that core message be for you?
The core message that I would give to individuals is that if you learn how to take control of your mind, if you learn how to take control of your body, you can take control of your life mentally, physically, and spiritually. And honestly, that is the one message that I think I've continuously repeated in my mind, but that is the one message that stands true because man, like I think the human experience is an amazing journey and it's one of the most I think inspiring places that we can start. And the best analogy that I can give an individual is that every time that you get on a horse, every time you're going to learn how to tame the horse. You're going to try to learn how to tame the horse, and the horse is going to want to move on you, and you're going to have to be like, whoa, you're trying to control the horse. But then once you learn how to control the horse, then you could guide the horse. Okay, let's go to the left. Okay, let's go to the right. And so every single day, you're learning how to take control of the horse. You're learning how to take control of your mind and body, and you're learning, whoa, don't go over here, don't steer over here. This is the way right here. And then you start to have control of it.
Powerful, brother. Well, then, how can people learn more about your concepts and connect with you? Where would you direct them?
If people want to learn a little bit more about me and my story and everything that I'm doing and my mission, I could guide them to my Instagram. I think I'm posting most of my content every single day on Instagram, and that content really comes from spirit. And I truly think that that content will help individuals really understand themselves at a deeper level. So if you want to get to know me a little bit more on Instagram. If you want to start to work with me at a more one-on-one basis and see how we can align and activate something inside of you, then we would hop into that positive vibrations community where we can get down into business.
Perfect, brother. And then remind us what's the Instagram?
Instagram is Bryan Flows, so Bryan Flows.
That was awesome, brother. Well, thanks so much. It was a pleasure as always, and thank you everybody who's listening in as well. We'll talk to you soon.